G'day there. In this video we're going to be talking about the compressor on the Behringer X32 or M32. So over here on the desk we've got this little section here that says dynamics, and this is actually the compressor, as you can see here. We're going to talk about the gate in a second. But if we want to see the compressor settings, we're just going to click this button view, and that's going to show up on there. So is that just that button view. Now to have the compressor on, it's just this button. It lights up red if it's on. So as with most things on this desk, this is going to affect whatever instrument you've selected. So let's just say I want to change the compression on the acoustic guitar. I'm going to go over to here and click select on that, make sure the compressor's on, and then I can see it over here. And so these knobs down here is how I'm going to change the settings of the compressor. I can change the threshold with this, which is going to pull it way down or take it way up and release it. So a compressor really only works when you bring it down so that it starts. This is the threshold. The compressor is going to be working on anything that goes above this threshold. So of course, if the threshold's right at the top, it's doing nothing. If you bring it down, it's going to be working on everything that's above that threshold. We can change here the ratio, and as you can see, that's like the angle that the compressor is working at. We can change the attack, which is how quickly it comes in, and the hold and release deal with the back end, how quickly the compressor releases it, and how long it sustains it, how long it takes to release. And here's a wee gain thing here. And now if I press this down arrow, there's actually even more functions. So for example, I'll just show you this here, the knee. Can change it from being a really straight, actually I'll change the ratio so you can see this better. So the knee there is softening, whether it's a straight from the threshold, a straight compress or a soft kind of compression there. So there's a bunch of things that you can look through on that, and that might just take a little bit of time. But what does a compressor do? Well, what a compressor does is essentially it compresses the loud parts of the signal so that they are more even to the rest of the signal. So let's just say I'm singing, and then I do a really high note that's really loud. Normally that would rise and be just out of proportion in its loudness to the rest of the signal. So what this compressor does is I can just choose, well, anything that goes over sort of -20 or whatever, if it's a loud peak, this compressor is just going to automatically squash it down so that the loud peak isn't so loud. And so what we do is we're evening the signal so all of the information is in a more consistent range of volume. And what that also means is that we get to turn up the instrument without fearing that there's going to be a sudden jump or a sudden leap. So think of, maybe an instrument like, a vocal is a good one, that where the singer might start off with a whisper and go to a belt. A compressor is going to be really helpful to be able to keep both of those dynamics in a similar dynamic range so that we can turn up the whisper, have that nice and loud and present without worrying about the yell being overwhelming. So this is something to play around with. Compressors also bring some really a solidness to the sound, makes it punchy, so play around with that on your different instruments, but that's how you use the compressor.